Thanks for joining us. I'm Deborah Knapp.
And I'm Aaron Wright. First at 10, new insight into the arrest of a San Antonio man charged in the deadly Capitol riot.
The 37-year-old suspect, reportedly seen inside the halls of the U.S. Capitol, is facing 2 federal charges. Tonight, a former U.S. attorney tells us he could face more charges.
Eyewitness News reporter Henry Ramos with the challenges in this case.
We're all going to probably get in trouble for what we're doing.
Social media users tagging the FBI allege a San Antonio man is in this video inside the Capitol during the deadly attack. 37-year-old Matthew Mazzocco arrested by the FBI at his Stone Oak home Sunday. In a federal complaint, he faces 2 charges. First, knowingly entering or remaining in a restricted building or grounds without lawful authority. Second, violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds.
The initial charges that the defendant was charged with are relatively minor if they didn't involve a firearm or violence.
John Bash is a former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Texas, which includes San Antonio.
These may just be preliminary charges in order to take custody.
Bash says Mazzocco could face more serious charges depending on what federal investigators find.
To see if this person was involved in acts of violence, to see if this person conspired with others to commit acts of violence.
Bash says investigators will most likely pull the suspect's phone records, emails, and social media posts.
Nothing in the announced charges necessarily means that he engaged in acts of violence or other sorts of more serious conduct, but nor do the charges disavow that. It's not clear right now, just looking at those charges, what investigators believe he did.
This former U.S. attorney says this case is not so cut and dry.
There were just so many people in that building. And so trying to figure out what each person did, sometimes when you have a ton of people, especially during the pandemic wearing masks, it's not always easy to figure out who did what.
Tonight, we've learned Mazzocco will be arraigned tomorrow afternoon. Bash suspects that he will be transferred to D.C. where the charges were filed. The FBI also plans to release more information on Tuesday. Reporting outside the federal courthouse tonight, Henry Ramos, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.